So today is the second day of ellipses. So we're on lesson 7.2, day 2-2. Here's your warm-up. Pause your video. Take about 3 or 4 minutes. Remember to convert this how to convert this equation into the graphing form, which we call standard form. At the moment, this is in general form. It's a long list of terms equal to 0. That's general form. Convert it into standard form, which is for graphing, by completing the square and making it look like the formula for an ellipse. Remember, it's got to equal 1 at the end, and then go on and sketch your graph. So pause your video and come back when you're done. Okay, so this is what your answer should have been. Group your x's. So you'll divide that in 2, x minus 3, put back 9. This 48, subtract it to the other side. So you're going to be adding in 9 there. Group your y terms, factor out the 3. So this one here will become plus 10y. Complete the square on that, divide it in 2, which gives you 5. 5 squared gives you 25. You bring down the value where it's been halved. Half of 10 is 5. Square it, put it back. So what you're actually adding onto the other side is 3 times 25, which is 75. So add these together. 75 plus 9 gives you 84. Subtract 48, you're left with 36. That's what the right side of the equation will equal. It doesn't look like an ellipse unless it's equal to 1. So divide everything by 36. 3 goes into 36 12 times. So this one's going to be strange to graph. The center is at 3, -5. Its orientation, the biggest number is under the x, so it's going to be horizontal. The center is at 3, -5, but graphing this is going to be weird. Horizontally, you're going to be going the square root of 36. We're going to call that distance a, because this is a squared, the bigger one. So that's going to be easy. From the center, you're going to go left and right 6. That's going to give you your major axis. To do the minor axis, it's going to be horrible. You're going to have to go up and down by the square root of 12. So that's going to be about 3.5. When you're plotting your co-vertices, you're going to go 3 and a bit above and below the center. Ugh. And you can simplify the square root of 12. 12 is 4 times 3, so it simplifies to 2 times the square root of 3. Now, to get to your focal points, your focuses, is horizontal, so you're going to adjust this x, you're going to go left and right by amount c. And we have to calculate that by doing a squared minus b squared. Biggest denominator minus the other denominator. So a squared minus b squared gives us 24. So that gives us c squared. C will be the square root of 24, and you can factor out a 4 from that. So it would be 2 times the square root of 6. But that one's going to be easier to graph. It's almost 5. So from the center point to get to the foci, you're going to going almost 5 to the left and almost 5 to the right. So if you're moving left and right, this will change. So it looks weird to write that. I'm changing the x coordinate by adding and subtracting 2 root 6 to it, but that's actually not going to be too difficult to graph. You're just going to count sort of almost 5 to the left and almost 5 to the right. For your vertices, you're going to change. You're going to be going left and right by amount a. So you're going to go 3 plus 6. Well, this will change to a 9. 3 minus 6. You're adding, subtracting 6 because it's a square root of 36. 3 minus 6 will give you -3. So those are your 2 vertices, and your co-vertices are going to go up and down by this amount. When you're graphing it, you're going to be going up and down by about 3.5, but when you write it, it's going to be horrible. So I'm going to be lazy and write it in this format. Your co-vertices, you're going up and down the opposite direction. So you're not going to be changing the x. You're going to go to the center and you're going to change the y. And you're going to add and subtract your value of b to it. And our value of b is 2 root 3. So the x location of the coverse will be 3, and the y's are going to be disgusting. -5 plus 2 times the square root of 3, and -5 minus 2 times the square root of 3. Your major axis is 2 times your a. So 2 times a, 2 times 6 is 12. And your minor axis is 2 times b. So you can either say 2 times the square root of 12, but we really want to see it simplified. Okay, 2 times 2, 2 times this would give you 4 root 3. Or you might have written 2 times the square root of 12, which if you want to bring that 2 inside, you'd have to square it to bring it under the square root. So it'd be the square root of 48. Kind of any of those answers are acceptable. This is by far the best answer. It's the one that's reduced, and we haven't discussed in our team yet whether we're going to take off points if you don't write it in most reduced format. Okay, so this will be your graph. Okay, your foci are going left and right by almost 5. Those vertices should have been easily at at 9 across, -5, -3 across, down 5. And these points here, I've tried to indicate that I've gone up about 3.5 to go to those. Right, so that was the warm-up. Let's try this now. So have a go at, let's do some more practice at completing the square. So pause your video and come back. Okay, this is what you should have got. It's vertical, you've got a 9 under the y. The interesting thing here, do you see your x term here? This is a perfect square. There was no other term with an x in it. So you just ended up with 9. You didn't have to complete a square on this one. This one, you factor out the 4, cut that 4 in half, put it back. Okay, so let's move on and do something else now today. Oh no, let's complete this square. So again, pause your video and come back. If you got that, you're good to go. You can stop watching this video and you can skip on to the next video. Okay, I'm going to do today's lesson in 2 parts. For those who didn't get this answer, stick with me and I'll talk you through how to complete the square on this one. So on this, we look for both x's and y's are being squared. So I'm going to group these x terms and I'm going to factor out that 4 while I'm doing it. So this, if I factor out the 4, that will turn into -6x, and now it's ready to complete the square. And then I'll group the y terms. There's no coefficients, so I don't have to factor anything out of this one. And that one's now ready to complete the square. And then that plus 24, I have to move it to the other side where it would be -24. Then I'm going to be adding on, I've got 4 times the green box and 1 times the red box. Ooh, that's not red. Okay. Right, so factor and complete the square. Something x squared minus 6x plus something is going to factor to the form x minus something squared. We've got 4 on the outside, got to fill in this number and this number. -6 divided into 2 would give me -3. That's why I was subtracting there, not adding. And 3 squared, -3 squared still gives me +9. Always adding on that box. So in here, I'm adding on 4 times 9, and I'm adding on 36. Then this factors to something squared. It's going to be y, not y squared here, just y. When I square y plus something squared, I end up with y squared. And I'm going to be adding on half of 4 is 2, square that, put it back, 4 goes in that box, 4 goes on this side. So what does that give me? I've got, this is 36 plus 4, that's 40. And I've also got -24, so that gives me 16. My equation has to equal 1, so I'll divide by 16, divide by 16, divide by 16, and simplify. I don't want any coefficients in the numerator. 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that's how you get this answer here. Okay, got x minus 3 squared divided by 4 plus y plus 2 squared over 16 equals 1. Okay, please make sure that you've written this part, equals 1. It's got to have that if it's an equation. Equation needs an equal sign and stuff on this side and stuff on that side, or it's not an equation. And I mean when I'm graphing those, when I'm grading those. So make sure you write me an equation, please. And you know it equals 1, doesn't equal 0.